look at the little hatchback here. Chilling, man. Man, it looks so much nicer without the window tint. Don't you guys think? Welcome back to Project GoodSpeed. California weather's crazy out here, man. I haven't seen the sun in days. There's a giant fog covering up the valley. Anyway, on today's video, we're gonna be looking at the transmission in the little hatchback here, and we're gonna see what went wrong. For those of you who don't know, this Civic has been with me for over 10 years. I believe I did get some transmission work done back in sometime between 2012 and 2016. And I think I know what the problem might be, but we're gonna go ahead and open it up just to see. And I've never done this before, especially because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Also because it's very expensive, and you know, the Civic had to be running, so I always took it to the shop. I never knew what I was doing with transmission, so I didn't want to mess with it and end up breaking it. So from what I understand, we need to take off this bearing and this thing here. And then this bolt needs to come off as well. That's the only thing I think that needs to come off of the inside casing here. Boy, that's really in there. What the let's see if the breaker bar can get it. Oh, this is a very terrible. Oh shit, I got it. Almost lost my cool there before we even started. Okay. So next up, we gotta take off these 12mm bolts around the casing and pop, all right, this bolt up top so that we can get to some sort of locking pin. So let's do that. This thing has a lot of sealant. Why? It's not coming loose. Okay, man. Okay, I think I got it. Yeah, that pesky clip is difficult to get if you don't have the right pliers. Okay, so let me give you guys a little bit of a backstory from the time I had the transmission work done. I haven't looked at it yet. So I think the fork casings around my synchros snapped again. And that is the transmission work I had done in 2012 and 2016 when I was driving this little hatchback for college. I had to get those issues fixed because I didn't know anything about cars back then, and I didn't have the time to work on the little hatchback. So what I think is the little forks snapped again. This is the same transmission they repaired. I don't know how they repaired it, but I do remember them showing me a piece of metal from the forks that just broke and snapped. So I think that's probably gonna be the same issue again in this Civic. So we're gonna take a look. So the problem with the Civic was every time I tried to shift into second, I had to kind of just like ram it in there because it would not go in. Check this out. Oh, no second. There is no second. Damn it. Every other gear is fine. All right, let's give it a shot. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work. See, that one worked. Sometimes it wouldn't go in, sometimes it would. And when it was in, let's say I was making a left-hand turn and I was in second gear, slowing down, and let's say I was going a little too fast for the corner and I wanted to slow down a little bit more. As soon as I put the foot on the brake, boom, it would pop out a second. Oh. So when I got back on the gas out of the corner, it would not be in gear. So I just hear, and I'm not seeing any, huge issue. I don't see anything damaged. All of these little house-shaped, well, maybe that might be an issue. I also don't know what I'm looking at here, to be honest. Look at that. Just look at. This thing has so much metal in there, dude. That's a magnet in there. In order to remove the whole main shaft and counter shaft assembly, we got to remove the reverse gear here, which is these two bolts, and then just pop out the gear with the rod, I guess. Then the one bolt back here, I think also needs to come out. I've removed them. There we go. Something's happening. Oh, there we go. Okay. Is that broken in there? Look, I'm not an expert. By no means am I a mechanic. Oh, that's not good. Shit, I don't know how that's supposed to go. Why is this ring like that? It's like a rotary engine. It's got 3 corners. Man, is it supposed to be that loose? Seriously? Like no bolt up top holding it together, it's just loose? That's strange. Let's see if we can take out this magnet. So I can show you guys that mess that's in here. Look at that. Damn, that's a lot of metal. Now, I don't know if that's normal. Like I said, I had this engine, this transmission rebuilt back in 2012 and 2016, and I never opened it up again, so let's go ahead and clean this off. Damn, that is caked on there. I don't know if I'll be able to rebuild this transmission either, because like I said, I don't know exactly what I'm looking at here. I'll have to go and really dive into the manual to figure out exactly what it is that went wrong. So, looks like just when I was starting to examine these gears and the transmission, the synchros, the synchro rings, my freaking camera microphones died. So, all that footage just, no voiceover. So, we're gonna do a recap real quick. I looked at the manual, and it looks like we have an issue with the synchro sleeves. Now, the synchros is broken up into, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. We have the synchro sleeve, the synchro hub, the synchro ring, and the synchro spring. And my problem was more with the synchro sleeve. I figured out that the main shaft is responsible for gears 3 and 4, 5 in reverse, and then the counter shaft is 1st and 2nd, down here at the bottom. I just looked at the manual and I compared the shifting arms down here, and they are pretty distinct, so that's how I figured out which gear is responsible for which. For the counter shaft here, we can see that the notches up top where it would engage with the synchro ring are very worn down, and that explains all of the metal shavings on my magnet, because there isn't something like specifically broken piece. It's just really worn down. All of those power shifts to 2nd gear do not help. Also, the synchro ring has some worn out nubs. Normally these golden rings here are supposed to look like little houses, and when they are worn down to just circles, you can kind of tell that the connection really isn't being made, and it could be spinning around, or just not working. These right here are the synchro sleeves. You guys can see they are right on the forks, and it looks like there's 4 components to the synchros. We have the synchro sleeve, and inside of it is the synchro hub, and there is a specific orientation they need to go in, and we have 1, 2, 3. And the problem is with this one here on the counter shaft. You guys can see, I'll show you guys the footage here. The connection points down on the interior where they make contact with the synchro ring here and the synchro spring. The synchro ring is that gold piece, brass, and then the spring is just that little metal washer looking thing in between. So the problem is the hub here is, no, not the hub, the sleeve is worn down to the nub, and it's not making contact with gear 2. This is gear 1. Also, these little notches on the ring are also worn out, so that will also need to be addressed. I know that when you're replacing the sleeve, which is what my problem is it recommends you to replace the sleeve and the hub in one piece, but I think it's probably better to replace all 4 just in case, because like I said, these are worn out a little bit. It's great finally knowing exactly what's wrong with your car. For years I would just drive this little hatchback around and just jam it into 2nd gear. Obviously that's probably why it didn't work. I don't know how these are so common only for 2nd, but all the other ones work fine. So now that I know exactly where the problem is, I can fix this whenever I do decide to. I don't think I'll need to do it. Like I said, the Civic already has a great transmission, works perfectly fine. The D-Series transmissions for the 6th gen Civics bolt up perfectly well, and it's been fine ever since.
I think that's the first time I've ever done that. Shifted a 2nd without having to
you know, do all that. But like I said, it's just great to finally know exactly what went wrong. The synchros, you know, synchro sleeve mainly. I don't think the issue was with these grooves. I noticed that each one of these gears has grooves on them. Maybe that might help with oil distribution, but each and every one of them has it. So I don't think it's cause for concern. Anyway, I need to figure out how to put it back. I didn't make note of the shift selection position. I don't know how that goes back in there, so I gotta reference that. Oh. Notches down here by the shift fork need to be all aligned so that they align with all of the piece on this side over here. Oh, come on, you fucking... Oh, it's stuck on the fucking... There we go. I made the mistake of closing up the whole assembly, and then when I got down to installing this last bolt, turns out I installed the shifter wrong. So it looks like all of the arms have a groove on them, and they all align perfectly well so that the whole assembly that's right here, which is called the interlock assembly, it kind of looks like this, and it's supposed to slide into those grooves. That way, the little arm that selects the gear is the only one out of the groove whenever it's, you know, obviously it's selected. So now you should be able to move it freely. Now this thing should bolt right up in there. I just got done researching, and the price for that sleeve is just ridiculous. I don't think I'm going to be repairing this. It's way too much. I can't even find the right one, honestly. I just looked at what it costs for a sleeve. But you know, Honda parts are very, like the sites that sell them have a bunch of different GSR, LS, K series, all of this stuff is just like bundled together. I just looked briefly, and it's like 200 or something bucks for all that, and I'm not going to pay that price. Because the transmission in the Civic right now cost my little brother somewhere around 250 bucks, and that's the whole transmission. I'm not going to pay that for one little thing, one little sleeve. So I'll probably just keep an eye out at the junkyard for a replacement for this. Maybe if I can find a transmission that's already been removed, because again, that's a lot of work to go through for just the thing, and I've already got a transmission that works. So that's it for the video. You know, stay tuned for the next one to see what I got planned for the Civic. Or the CRV, I'm not sure yet. So until next time, take care and good speed.